Hello, thank you for tuning in today. My name is Zach Backner, and I'm the Director of Financial Planning here at Summit Financial Consulting. We recently discussed monetary policy in one of our previous videos, and this time around, we're going to be discussing fiscal policy. Both of these policy efforts are implemented by different parts of the government, with monetary policy being implemented and controlled by the Federal Reserve, and fiscal policy being controlled by Congress. However, they both have the same goal to either expand or contract the current economic conditions. Fiscal policy refers to the government's ability to adjust spending and taxation to influence the economy's current environment. These are both very important measures for the government to consider, so we're going to be tackling them in separate videos. Today, we're going to be focusing on the spending portion of fiscal policy, and the next video, we'll be discussing the taxation side. As it relates to government spending, there are two main factors that we want to address: budget and debt ceiling. Spending can be very contractionary when less funds are used to reinvest in the country, and policy becomes expansionary when the government increases spending to bolster different areas of the economy. The government's budget is their plan on how they will spend the cash inflow they are receiving as well as the cash they currently have on hand. Like a household or a business, the government has a budget that they attempt to follow, and this plan is proposed and agreed upon through a Congress voting process. The government's expenses are typically divided either into mandatory or discretionary expenses. Much like a household has required expenses such as food and utilities, the government has necessities such as Medicare and Social Security obligations. Households may have discretionary expenses like entertainment and travel, and the government has discretionary expenses such as national defense or specific scientific research. Different political parties have different priorities, and where they want to allocate their budget can highlight their main concerns. Our proposed budget plan can be very insightful as we are approaching the upcoming presidential election. Also, just like a household, there are times, unfortunately too often, when the government cannot fulfill their budget with the incoming cash flow. When outflows exceed inflows, this creates a budget deficit. And just like a household, the government can utilize debt in order to fund the remaining expenses. Instead of running the expenses through a credit card like a household might, the government can issue debt in the form of treasury bonds or treasury bills. The government's debt ceiling is the agreed upon level of debt that can be issued to fund their spending obligations. Government shutdowns have happened in the past when Congress cannot agree on a debt ceiling, and this can cause further delays or disruptions in the economy. Once again, proposed debt plans can be very insightful when evaluating different political parties for the upcoming election. The U.S. national debt currently sits at roughly $35.5 trillion and has been on a constant upward trend. It is not necessarily a bad thing that the government has taken on so much debt. Utilizing leverage can be an efficient way to fund expenditures, much like how a household may take on a mortgage to pay for a home. However, a healthy balance sheet does require a large amount of assets to counterbalance that large amount of debt. And thankfully, the U.S. total assets does exceed the total debt by a fair margin currently. Also, with more debt comes more interest payments. The U.S. is currently hitting records for outstanding debt amounts, and we're also seeing records on total interest payments that are being made. It is up to Congress to ensure our nation's debt does not balloon out of control and continue to prevent that major concern of a government bankruptcy. Once again, my name is Zach Backner from Summit Financial Consulting. I want to thank you again for taking the time today to watch this video. If you could, please like and subscribe to our channel, and that will help you stay up to date on new video releases. We'll catch you next time.
Summit Financial.
Working with people you trust.